The first Starbucks opened in Seattle on March 31st, 1971, founded by Jerry Baldwin, Zeph Siegel, and Gordon Bowker. Howard Schultz was working as the director of marketing in 1982. The next year, he traveled to Italy and wanted to develop a similar coffee house culture. In 1985, Schultz started his own successful coffee company called Il Giornale, which offered brewed coffee and espresso that were made from Starbucks coffee beans. In 1987, the owner sold Starbucks to Schultz, and between 2003 to 2006, Starbucks purchased companies such as Seattle's Best, Torre Fazier Coffee, Diedrich Coffee, and People Coffee. The locations were rebranded as Starbucks. Starbucks was slowly turning into an oligopoly and making it hard for other coffee shops to compete with them. With the help of Schultz and other CEOs, Starbucks now has 25,000 plus locations in over 75 countries. The global expansion of Starbucks has extended to countries such as England, Japan, the Netherlands, China, Dubai, India, Mexico, Greece, Lebanon, and Brunei, just to name a few. As we learned with Race to the Bottom, even the best CEOs have to compete in the global market. My roommate works at Starbucks, and I was curious to see which country her apron came from. Lo and behold, it came from China. On Starbucks' website, they have a list of standards they go by when acquiring manufactured goods, and here's a quote from that same website, and it says, "From the merchandise on our shelves to the furniture in our stores, or the aprons worn by our baristas, Starbucks cares about the way in which these products are made, and about the workers who make them." Starbucks may be holding true to their standards that says all workers, including trainees, must be paid at least the cash equivalent of the minimum legal wage. But the minimum wage is very low in China compared to the United States. According to the China Labor Bulletin, the minimum wage for most major cities and provincial capitals also doubled to around 1,600 yuan, or US $239, per month in 2016. Therefore, even the best CEOs have resorted to cheap labor to keep up in the global market. Regarding their coffee beans, there are 3 primary coffee growing regions that receive their coffee beans, from which include Latin America, Africa, and the Asia Pacific region. Starbucks' website describing the source of their coffee says, "The cornerstone of our approach is coffee and farmer equity. Café practices our comprehensive coffee buying program that ensures coffee quality while promoting social, economic, and environmental standards. Ethical sourcing is the process of ensuring the products being sourced are obtained in a responsible and sustainable way, that the workers involved in making them are safe and treated fairly, and that environmental social impacts are taken into consideration during the sourcing process." In addition to their purchasing standards, Starbucks works to support communities through farmer loans, growing our farmer support centers, and continuously improving and expanding our ethical sourcing programs, such as cafe practices. In total, Starbucks has invested more than $70 million in collaborative farmer programs and activities. Lastly, what was the global response to Starbucks? Well, some citizens in other countries were hesitant to accept Starbucks at first because they did not want them to run their local coffee shops out of business. In order to gain support, Starbucks had to adapt and modify some of their practices. Jim Donald, the CEO of Starbucks between 2005 to 2008, had said, "The peak time in China is not 7 to 10 in the morning, it is 4 to 6 in the afternoon. There are also food preferences we had to adapt to. There is a Yorkshire pudding that is big in the UK but does not work in New York. Breakfast sandwiches in Germany, for example, are made up with a hard roll with sausage and tomato and served cold. So we listen hard to what our partners in the region say. They have to cater to the interests of the country they're in and have been very successful at doing so. Globalization helped Starbucks become the most well-known coffee shop in the world."